Okay, so I'm getting it started, doctor. Okay. So good afternoon, good evening, everybody. So my name is Alok Kumar, and I am CTP for SPSS Predictive Analytics and not Watson, sorry, DSX Local. Okay, so Data Science Experience Local. Okay. So the whole idea of this session is to demonstrate the capabilities of IBM Watson Studio and also, demonstrate some of the use cases using the, Jupyter notebook and maybe SPSS flow, right? And then logically conclude with a case study for, the different groups. So the whole of the session is divided into two different sessions. So today I will cover until the slide number 35. So I have shared a deck a couple of minutes back. So that is the most updated deck, which which I'm sure you have downloaded from the email attachment, right? So after the completion of the session, the expectation is that the participants should be able to demonstrate the capabilities of the IBM Watson Studio in sales engagement and also able to execute POC in an opportunity, and then also kind of enable partners and be able to respond to RFPs and other things, right? So, and I have also kind of I have requested. How do I move? Right? Okay. So I had also requested, the participant to, register for IBM Cloud and then sign up for IBM Watson Data Platform, because this IBM Watson Studio is part of IBM Watson Data Platform, right? So I hope, everybody has, kind of registered for the IBM account and then sign up for IBM Watson Data Platform, okay? So with that, let me get started with this session, right? So the agenda for this one is to, look at the analytics landscape, and from the IBM Watson Studio perspective, we will be, looking at the use cases on predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics, all right? And then also talk about, what is the predictive analytics as a whole, and then also talk about cross-industry standard procedure for data mining methodology that we follow in the design and development of the analytical assets using the data assets, right, which needs to be embedded and consumed by the existing business processes, okay? And then walk you through the overview of Watson Studio and look at the features and then demonstrate the capability, right? So these whole of this agenda is is spread across different use cases. We'll be using the Scala Python programming language in Jupyter Notebook and demonstrating some of the churn prediction use cases, and then also use R Studio, and then we also will look at the sales pipeline opportunity prediction using IBM SPSS modular flow, right? So that is embedded, and then we have decision optimization as well, right? So from the use case perspective, I don't have one use case in the decision optimization, but most of all of those use cases are surrounding the predictive analytics. Right. So this is the life cycle of analytics, which is, by now you must be familiar with this and you must have seen in many of these sessions. So these are the different kind of questions that you answer through, the life cycle of the analytics landscape. right? So you use descriptive analytics capability using IBM Cognos Analytics to answer questions such as what has happened in the past, right? And then you do some kind of diagnostics, right? And be able to answer questions such as why something happened that way, and look at the relative importance of some of the variables which influence, the target variable. That is possible with IBM Watson Analytics and also Watson Explorer, right? And then in the area of predictive analytics, like what is likely to happen, those kind of questions can be answered by, either of the two portfolio in the offering is like IBM SPSS Predictive Analytics and also IBM Watson Data Studio, which is on cloud, on the cloud offering for data science platform, and also for data science experience local behind the firewall, right? And then you have, just having done the predictive analytics will be an academic exercise if you do not generate the insights, actionable insights, right? And then prescribe certain actions based on whatever, constraints under which the business operates, right? So you optimize the decision based on that, right? So that closes the loop of the life cycle of analytics. Now from IBM Watson Studio perspective, we will be focusing on predictive analytics and the prescriptive analytics, right? Okay. Now, what is predictive analytics? So this definition has been picked from the Gartner definition. I'm not going to kind of read this definition for you, but there are three different words which has been highlighted here: data, action, and future, right? So using the data asset, you are able to, kind of design and develop and generate the analytical asset and able to, kind of predict the future outcome, and also in the process extract the actionable insight, right? So unless you do all of these actions, right, unless the outcome of predictive analytics is combined with, combined with the constraint under which the business operates, and be able to, formulate the objective function using the linear programming concept, and able to maximize the gain and mitigate the risk, right? So that is the whole idea. So you should be able to, kind of embed the analytical asset with the prescribed actions, which is in the existing business processes, so that your processes are becoming more smart, right? So that is the whole idea. So using the data, you predict the future outcome, right? So data is the new oil today. Unless you do the analytical processing on the top of the data, right, generate certain features to be able to predict the future outcome and prescribe certain actions, that is the whole landscape of the predictive analytics and prescriptive analytics, right? Now, CRISP-DM methodology, right? So it is this methodology that we use in the design and development of the analytical asset using the data asset that has been generated by way of doing the business day in, day out, right? So this methodology is tool agnostic and also industry agnostic as such. So this CRISP-DM methodology was developed by a consortium of companies like IBM, the erstwhile SPSS, SAS, Microsoft, Oracle, so on and so forth, way back in sometime in 98, 99. I would not remember that, but it was around that time, that this methodology was developed, and it has been highly rated methodology by the data science practitioner on KD nudges. So almost as good as 47% of the practitioners would use this CRISP-DM methodology to design and develop the analytical assets, right? So the different phases that we have in CRISP-DM methodology is business understanding, data preparation, modeling, evaluation, and deployment, right? So in the business understanding phase, we translate the business problem into a data mining problem. And then in the data understanding phase, we actually, look at the data and then see that if there is certain kind of gap, and if the data that is being captured is good enough to, explain the variability in the outcome of business outcome that we want to predict, so on and so forth, right? And if it is good enough, we get it started. If there is a gap, we, go back in our system of record, fix that, and start capturing those things, right? And then data preparation is one of the most important phase in predictive analytics domain, right? So you need to prepare certain features before you can expose the underlying data set to a machine learning algorithm or artificial intelligence algorithm or a data mining algorithm, whatever you may like to call it. And then you move on to the modeling selection. So depending on what is going to work and what is not going to work, it all depends, the intrinsic relationship between the different variables that you select a specific model, right? So not all models, depending on your target, the type of the target variable, certain operator will work. So we will look at when we will, in one of the use cases, we will do something live where we will design and develop a model using the modeling feature of the Spark ML machine learning library, where we will see, depending on, the type of the target variable, it selects a specific kind of technique, and based on the technique that is being selected automatically or suggested by, the tool, it lets you, select a specific, mining operator, right? So on and so forth. So, so model selection is also one of the key success criteria in CRISP-DM methodology. And then having developed some of the models, you evaluate and assure yourself about the accuracy of the model. And then you deploy some of the models based on, some of the models where some model will be challenger and some model will be champions, and it will continuously, kind of learn in an automated environment. And, the challenger model will continuously, challenge the champion model, right? And when certain challenger model outperform the champion model, it automatically gets deployed, and the process is continuous process of learning. Right? Last but not the least, there are, I have given you in a very brief and nutshell what are the different phases, and what in each phases what are the main thing of concern. But there are different activities that you need to do in each of those phases, which is all written in this tabular format, which is I'm not going to read. I will share this presentation with you after the presentation, so you can look at all of these things at your own leisure, right? So the whole point is that, if you are using this methodology, it will help you, accelerate the entire process of design and development of the analytical asset that is going to be consumed by your applications across the company, right? So that is how it is. Now, having spoken about, what the predictive analytics, looking at, the whole landscape of analytics and the CRISP-DM methodology. Now I'm moving on to IBM Watson Studio, which was erstwhile known as DSX, Data Science Experience Public or Cloud, actually, which is now renamed into IBM Watson Studio, which is part of IBM Watson Data Platform, actually, right? So it is a data science platform for the data scientist community, right? And then the whole platform is built around it lets the data scientists work in a collaborative environment, right? And then it is the single integrated platform. You don't the data scientist the tool is built for the data scientist, data engineer, the application developer, right? And they work in a collaborative environment, but they do not have to get out of the single environment to somebody saying something or wanting to ask some question.
Hey Puneet, can you go on mute, please?
Can you go on mute, please? Yeah, thank you. So IBM Watson Studio is now actually renamed as IBM Watson Studio. Actually, is now part of IBM Watson Data Platform, right? It was erstwhile known as Data Science Experience, as I have already said, and is a data science platform for it also includes like IBM Data Refinery on the IBM Watson Data Platform, and then that lets you organize your data and perform certain operations, look at the profile of the data, so on and so forth, and visualize data to do certain kind of exploratory data analysis and develop your understanding before you embark on the journey of generating the analytical assets, right? It's down. Okay. Why it is not moving? Okay, now this IBM Watson Studio stitches together a number of different tools like Jupyter Notebook, Javelin Notebook, and R Studio, which is the integrated development environment for the data scientists, and lets you use the open source programming like R, Scala, and Python, right? So these are the different tool that has been stitched together in IBM Watson Studio in a collaborative environment, and then it also includes the value add and different services like object store services and data services like the Spark services and machine learning services. And there is also a visual program like SPSS Modeler, where you can drag and drop the different nodes on the canvas and connect them in whatever context they may appear, and then configure them for doing whatever task that needs to be performed through the, and then the data flows through the screen where it is exposed to a specific algorithm based on whatever the goal of your project might be, and then kind of lets you evaluate the model, so on and so forth, right? So we will look at some of the use cases using these things, these different tools that has been stitched together in a single environment where the data scientists work in a collaborative environment. Okay, so but not only this machine, IBM Watson Studio, actually accelerates the entire process of the artificial intelligence steps like machine learning and deep learning workflows, which actually is required by the business to be embedded in their existing business processes, right? And it also provides a number of different tools for different personas like data scientists and the application developers and the subject matter experts who work together in a collaborative environment. We will show those features when we actually start demonstrating on them, right? So we will come back to these things when we actually launch the product and walk you through these features of IBM Watson Studio, right? And so basically it gives you the environment to, use the data asset to, build your analytical assets and train the model, which needs to be deployed at a scale, right? So right from the left-hand side of the requirement, right? So you need to prepare your data even before you can export. So it lets you integrate the data, assimilate the data from the different various sources, right? Consolidate them and make the data consistent. Even before consistent, and then kind of prepare your data to build your the analytical assets in the Watson Data Studio platform. Okay. Now look at the key different features, right? So from the tools and visualization perspective, as I have already said, there are Jupyter Notebook where you can use R, Python, and Scala. The Zeppelin Notebook is different from Jupyter Notebook is as much as you can use the R, Python, and Scala in combination, whereas in Jupyter Notebook, you can use either of these environments, right? But in Zeppelin Notebook, you can use, R, Python, and Scala in combination, right? And in the R Studio, you can use the R language, right? And integrate with the GitHub.
There's no Zeppelin in Watson Studio, though, is there? We only have Jupyter and R Studio. I think Zeppelin's in Data Science Local.
Sorry?
I was just questioning the slide that says we have Zeppelin notebooks in Watson Studio, but I don't think we do. I think Zeppelin notebooks are only in Data Science Experience Local. They're not in Watson Studio, the cloud version.
I'm not able to hear you. Actually, it is going back to you. So, is that a question or is that a comment?
It's both a question and a comment. I was trying to...
No. Your voice is breaking. It is not coming to me. So, maybe we can take this question offline.
Stuart is basically asking whether Zeppelin and GitHub are there in Watson Studio as a confirmation, because those are there in DSX Local, not in Watson Studio. He just wants a confirmation on that.
Okay, so yeah, so Zeppelin is on the root of it is going to be integrated in a future versions actually, right? So Zeppelin is there in the data science local, data science experience local, but as of the current version of the Watson Studio, it is not yet integrated, but GitHub is integrated. Okay.
Okay, and I guess the other extension to this is Alok, is under the column of tools and visualizations, we now also have the dynamic dashboards that have come through.
Right. So those are the things that, it uses the Cognos analytics thing. So all of those services in Watson Studio, you can actually, subscribe to them, and yes, you can use them. You're right.
Actually, not just that. I think this slide we might need to update altogether because this is not a Watson Studio slide per se anymore. Because if I look at this as key features, this is not talking about catalog, it's not bringing in the refinery portion. So I would probably say this slide needs to be heavily updated for Studio. What do you think, Stuart?
Okay. So, yes, I will agree with that, but down the line, the slide, when I'm looking at the features, one by one, then I'm also looking at the catalog and all that, but I'm focusing for this session, I'm focusing from the data science capability perspective.
You're right. No, you know what?
Right. So I'm not
go ahead, because there are many in the team. There are many in the team who are not across Studio in general. So you keep going ahead. We will pick up the gaps afterwards.
Okay.
And I'm guessing, Stuart, there will be gaps in this one because I think this is more of a DSX thing that's been recut.
Yeah, I understand that. And when I launch the Watson Studio, and when I'm showing you the tool, you will actually see that, these are the different tools that
correct.
Is as of
yeah,
now.
Correct.
Right?
I'm just conscious of time, Alok. I'm conscious of time. So, you keep going ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Now, so, this is just to say that, basically, there are different tools that have been stitched together in a single integrated environment in Data Watson Studio, right, which supports the programming in the notebook using the open source languages, right, and then design and develop your models to deploy them using, by generating the different scripts, and lets you, all of those analytical assets that you get through is through the gateway of the project actually, right? So it lets you, the community feature of, this IBM Watson Studio lets you learn, and then after learning you can create whatever analytical assets and collaborate with, the team members, right? So that is those are the different key features here that I wanted to kind of communicate to the team members here. Right. So if you look at this, there are three sections, right? You have the authoring tools like RStudio and Jupyter, which we already have spoken about. And then there is SPSS modeler for IBM Watson Studio, right? And then you have data refinery, model builder, Watson API tools also you can integrate, right? So all of those things you can integrate in here. And from the tools, technique, and technology perspective, you have all of those tools, authoring tools there. And from the techniques perspective, you have the machine learning libraries from the Spark, Skip-learn, and so on and so forth. And then you also have some of the algorithms which comes bundled with IBM SPSS modeler, right? And for the deep learning, which is used for the image visualization, right? Visual insights, basically, image insight actually, where you can use the TensorFlow for developing your neural network. And then you also have, the cloud infrastructure services like Docker, Kubernetes, and NVIDIA, right? Across the different life cycle of model building and deploying it, right? So it lets you create the model, collaborate across, and then deploy them and monitor them continuously, right? So all of these tools that you see here are the best of the breed tools and also include the IBM value add such as SPSS modeler, right? Okay. Now, so in the interest of the time, I will skip these two slides actually. And now look at the Spark ML Lib. Earlier, the package was coming from Spark MLlib, right, and which was based on RDD. Now the API that is included in the Spark.ml package on Spark site is based on the data frame, and it is on the top of these data frames that you call these APIs to build your own model, right? So we will go and look at the Spark site, right? So so basically, the API that you generate with the APIs that you use on the top of the data frame using the the Python, Scala, and Java, right? So it is not uniform all across, right? So it brings some kind of uniformity across the different open source language. If you are, using the Spark .ml package, which is based on the data frame, right? So all of those APIs that you call writing the programs in any of these languages are uniform all across. So that is the main advantage here, and it also lets you facilitate the creating the machine learning pipeline, right? So those are the things of the advantage, right? So earlier we were exploiting the Spark.ml which is now on the maintenance, right? So it may be deprecated in times to come, but starting from Spark 2.1, it is advised that you use the package Spark.ml package, which is the data frame based API. Right. Okay. Now this is the site where you need to go, and for the reference. Sorry,
Alok, I just had a question. Do you have a view? I had heard that IBM is totally changing the way we're implementing our Spark service. Do you know anything about that?
No, it is going back. Your voice, are you speaking on the speaker or something?
I'm just speaking, it's coming through my computer. Don't worry, I'll take these questions offline. That's cool. Ignore me.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to get you actually. Question.
It's okay, Alok, just carry on. I think Stuart will pick up with Stuart later on this one. Okay, go ahead.
Can you articulate that question to me, because I'm able to hear you actually.
So apparently IBM is looking at how Spark is put into a system as a framework. He's asking whether you know about that.
Not really, right?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Now, getting started, with the data, right? So, we will actually, launch this IBM Watson Studio and look at, some of the features, right? What are you get access to the different data assets and the analytical asset when you create the new project. You connect to your data sources, refine the data, right, and are able to ingest the streaming data. Streaming data actually streaming analytics was, kind of added in Watson Studio maybe about a month back, and then it has been actually removed from there. So I'm not very sure about that, because that was seen to be an asset in Watson Studio, but not anymore. So maybe, there is some kind of laundering work that may be going in there, but yeah. So maybe in future versions of Watson Studio, it may be included again. Okay.
आपका कॉल होल्ड पर है, लाइन पर बने रहें या कुछ देर बाद कोशिश करें. Your call is on hold. Please stay online or call back later.
Sorry, I was getting a call, different call. Okay. Now, so what is there in the different projects? You have, all the data assets exposed. So you have the catalog, you have different files that you might have loaded to, the cloud object storage that will contain all your different data files in .xls, .csv, and .json, and many other supported files. And then you can also connect to, the databases on the cloud and, generate a catalog of that. And then you have notebooks, models based on the Spark ML Lib, right? So it allows you to, design and develop those machine learning models using the Spark ML Lib. And then you have modeler flows, which you again have SPSS modeler as the runtime, and also the Scala as your runtime, right? And then there is a neural network which is for the image insight, which you can generate using the modeler flows. So there are 3 different options in there. And then dashboards are also included, data flows where you can refine your data, right? So, and then create different data profiles and generate different operations and calculate certain features based on whatever data that you might have, and then, design and develop your projects, right? So when you do this, this new project, right? So it gives you, whether you want to create a certain basic thing or you want to generate the asset using the data science, or you want to do certain visual recognition, deep learning, or modeler, or any kind of business analytics using the dashboard and rendering the data in the dashboards and so on and so forth, right? Or is it related to data engineering and so forth? So generally, you will have all these kind of things in the same project, and then you can actually choose the complete box, right? So when you create the new project, you can have all of these resources in the single project itself, right? So the different tools that are there for data science, right? The modeler, visual recognition, business analytics, deep learning, and the data engineering. You can work on all of these in a single integrated environment, right? So these are the different tools that we have, right? And the associated services are like storage services and data services, where you have in the data services we have such as the Spark services and machine learning services, and the storage services you have IBM Cloud Object Storage that not only stores your data assets and the connections to your databases, but also the different analytical assets that you generate through the entire life cycle of the data building and deployment, right? So we will come back to this, when we will actually creating the project and look at all of these things, okay? So now, actually I had requested to activate your Watson ID. So I hope that you might have created. So let us now actually, join, launch the IBM Watson Studio actually, okay? So what I'm going to do here is how do I stop sharing? Okay. So I have stopped sharing to, share another application. So please wait for a minute. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is actually log into the Watson Studio. So on slide number 22, as you can see, you have the link for that, https://datascience.ibm.com, right? So we will walk through, the different features of IBM Watson Studio, okay? So here is the login, right? So you can use your IBM ID to log in onto the IBM Watson Studio. Now this is the launching page that you see on my screen actually, and then you have the community section, right? So community is comprise a plethora of the different assets of articles, notebook, and public data that might be available in there. So what you can do is let this come up. What is going on? Okay. So for example, if I want to say churn prediction, but I want to, search any asset which is of my interest, which I can actually like or save to a specific project. I have created a project called WNCP enablement on my instance of IBM Watson Studio, which I can save here for future reference, right? And I can use that as a template, or there are different tutorial articles and also data set around that. So this one is one that I will be, using for my template, using the SPSS runtime environment, right? So using the Scala programming language, I have developed a churn prediction model for telco, right? So that one we will see. We will have a look at that also, right? And then basically, community has got all the kind of different assets which you can actually refer, and also you can chat here, right? So there is a chat box here which you can chat online at that time when you are actually designing and developing and wanting to, getting into some problem, or maybe you want to refer to something and seek some help from the expert in the data science community, then you can actually post your question here, which will be answered by the expert in IBM, right? So those are the things that you can actually do in here, all right? And then you can actually use the community to, basically use whatever you know and learn a few of the things from here which you can implement in your project environment. So that enhances your productivity, right? So you may not know a specific programming language, Scala, Python, or R, for example, but there are, enough number of, resources here available which can be used as a template to increase your productivity. Okay. So as you have seen, we have used, the different assets for designing and developing the different analytical assets within the project context. Okay. Now let me stop this and then go back to my presentation. So basically, whatever asset that we can search by the keyword and then like them and then, bookmark them in a specific project, which will be accessible to us when we go back and launch that project, right? So that is the whole idea of, showing you, how you can harness the power of the community here, right? You can like and bookmark, which I have already shown you. So this is one of the use case which I wanted to demonstrate to you, which is there, the Jupyter notebook using the Scala 2.1. Right, the use case is around the churn prediction, and the model that I have used in this project is SPSS random tree. This is classification and regression tree on Apache Spark 2.0. Right, so the whole objective of this is to learn how to create the SPSS random tree model by using the machine learning API of SPSS, of IBM SPSS, and view the model in the model viewer, right? So it is something like XML file. So at the end of the day, basically I'm using the asset which I have searched in the community and looking at, whatever, and then configure it to our own environment and then look at, the performance of the model at the end of that. So that is the demo here. So I'm again switching back to, the model here, right? So I go to the project and then click WNCP, Watson and Cloud Platform Enablement project here. So within that project, I have, as you can see, we have the different, tab here, overview, which you already have seen. So I have some 14 assets, 3 different bookmarks that I have added to this project. And then I have added 23 different collaborators, so on and so forth. And then you have the asset.
We can't here. We can't see your screen.
You cannot see my screen? Okay. Okay, I didn't share actually. No, I didn't share. Sorry. So now, as you can see my screen now, so we have, I came here by, clicking at the WNCP enablement project within the project banner, right? So if I click this, I come to this page actually, okay?
Can you
so
see
the launch page. So basically, I have different assets here. Sorry?
Yeah, it has come.
It has come? Okay.
Yes, it has come.
It has come, okay. Okay, now, so I have launched this page basically by clicking the projects banner on the top, and then I click the project that I have created for this session, which I call WNCP enablement. And as you can see beneath my project WNCP enablement, there are different tabs: overview, assets, environments, bookmarks, deployments, collaborators, and settings. Okay. So in the overview, you can see, what are the recent activities that I have done, right? And then what are the different collaborators that I have added. You can click here and view them, who are the different collaborators here. And then you can actually add as many collaborators as you want by clicking this add collaborators here. And then you can write the email ID of whoever you want to add. And if there is an email icon in front of that email ID, that means that he does not have the cloud account, and therefore he is not there. So he might have to register for the IBM cloud account. And then you can select the option such as viewer, editor, or admin, depending on the role that you want to assign. And then you say add, and then there will be a button called invite at the bottom, which you need to press in order to add those collaborators. Okay, so I'm canceling this. I have already added as many people to give access to the view of my the projects, right? Now, what I wanted to do here is, you have looked at the community feature, you have looked at the collaborator feature of this IBM Watson Studio. Now I want to go back to my projects and launch this. Okay, even before this, I wanted to let you know that where is this? You can create new projects and get access to whatever. So you can get access here actually. So you have new projects, refined data, new notebook, and then you can create new deep learning project, asset actually. All right, and then you also can create new modular flow which will have SPSS and Scala flow, and then new model for that. Okay. Okay. Now, what I wanted to show you, let me go back to the asset tab of my project. You have the data assets. So I have these many different CSV files and also the connections that I have added to my project, right? And then you have assets such as the visual recognition model, where you create, the neural network model, convolution models basically, which I'm not going to, which is out of the scope for this session. You have different notebooks that I have created for this session, which is like 0-1 time series analysis. So this I will cover in session 2. But one of the assets that one of the bookmarks assets that I had bookmarked from the community, right? I'm going to launch that, right? So churn prediction using the SPSS environment, which I have created using the Spark MLlib, right? So when I'm creating a new notebook, right? So it asks me what is the runtime environment that I need to configure. All right. So let me show you that first. So actually you can create it from the scratch, or you can also basically pre-built whatever notebook that you might have downloaded from the community or GitHub or from any other source. You can actually browse and import it here locally in the IBM Watson Studio, right? So on and so forth. Now, for the runtime, what I wanted to tell you, it is the Apache Spark P1 services, which I have, provisioned for my Watson Studio instance, right? So you need to choose this Apache Spark services in order to run the program in Scala language. So if you are writing your notebook in Scala language, then you should use the Apache Spark services. Okay, so we will show you how to go to the IBM Cloud, IBM Watson actually, and provision for these services like machine learning services and Apache Spark services, so on and so forth. Okay, so we'll come back here again. So I'm canceling this. So one of
Hey, Alok, we can't hear you anymore. Can the rest of you hear me? Is anybody still there?
Yes, Dave.
Okay.
I hear you. We're not hearing
Sorry,
you.
I got disconnected. I have come back. So
Okay.
yeah. Okay. So now, whatever I wanted to demonstrate one of the assets that I had imported. That I had bookmarked in my Watson Studio. So here is the bookmark, right? So you can see predicting churn with the SPSS random. So, and then I can actually launch it from here and save that in my project environment, right? As a notebook, right? So in the asset tab, it gets saved as whatever name that you might have given, right? So I have named it as churn prediction dash SPSS runtime. So I have given access to everybody, so you can come back and look at this thing, right? So the language, as you can see, was used as Scala 2.11 actually. Okay. So what you see here is the notebook. So it is waiting for the Spark session to get started. So let's wait for that. What is going on?
Okay. Alok, we are way over already. How much more are you going to be covering today? Do we need to split this up into a second session?
There are three to four more slides for today's session. So maybe another 5 to 10 minutes, not more, if you want to stay back. Or we can, cover this in the session 2, as you may like it.
It's up to you, because you know this content structure, right? So Do you think you can complete this in the next session, or we can just complete what we're doing here? Just finish it up.
Yeah, I can complete this in session. I will take another 10 minutes in that session, right? So that's okay. So let us, because this one is like taking time to start the Spark session, right? So behind the scene, the Spark services needs to be started. So that is not getting started right now. So I think I will cover that in the next session.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so it is already 2:10. No problem. So we'll cover whatever remaining portion of this session, plus whatever I have planned to cover in the session 2.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. No problem.
Thank you, Alok. Thanks.
No problem. Bye.